And you know what? I do feel that if the stigma therefore was removed or reduced significantly, that would help a lot of people. Finally, there's a release saying, look, I can kind of talk. I can let people know I've got this, and I can maybe even accept it myself that I've got depression and kind of work through strategies. But if my fear is I can't mention this to anyone, I mean, what sort of pressure is that to kind of carry around on top of what you've already got?
Yeah. So you're carrying that burden, just it's on your shoulders. And the fact that you mentioned that Jordan was thinking about taking his life like 5 years ago, or doing the research or the planning. And I mean, that's a significant amount of time to be experiencing that and going through that, and how, we do need to be aware of those signs and not to be afraid to talk about it. And I know from the same end, like on your end, a lot of a crew, I did a poll, or I did some Instagram story not so long ago, and they wanted to ask, how do you approach someone that is grieving? Because I mean, I've done studies around it and training around it, and you are speaking about Jordan as if he's in the room. You're using his name a lot, and you're not afraid to say he chose to end his life. And I think a lot of people are so scared and so nervous to go, well, what if they start crying? Can I say that word? Or, it's like the elephant in the room. And on your end, what would you like in terms of having that support? What would that look like for you?
Yeah. That's a great question, because it's one of the areas of the legacy we really want to focus on, because as you can imagine, we just got a huge outpouring from friends, family, and then the network that I had. But there's kind of a couple of things there. I think we can't be afraid to use the language. I think suicide is a word that people don't like to use. I think we have to label it. I think it's all right to say he took his own life as well, by the way. If suicide is a step too far for people to say, then I think that's okay. But I think we have to stop hiding away. You're absolutely right. Whenever I write a post or an article and I write, when my son took his own life, there's a moment's hesitation, and I go, no, I'm going to put his name in. And I always put his name in. So his name is always mentioned. That's really important. But getting back to your question, I think it's really interesting. I've got to be careful what I say here, because a lot of really well-meaning people there. But I think, firstly, I think it's all right to say, this is awful. I'm really sorry for what you're going for. This is the most awful thing you could experience, because it is.
Yes.
I think you just have to say it. And I think what happened, when people said that, I kind of felt, okay, they recognize it. Other people say, I can't imagine what you're going through. And that's fine as well. But I think it's absolutely all right to sit down with someone and go, Steve, look, firstly, I know this is probably the most awful thing. The next thing is listening, I think is really important. I had a lot of people that again, well-meaning, would kind of then start to tell their own stories. I lost some, and it was maybe not even connected with suicide. But you go, okay, well, look, I'm kind of really sorry for you that happened 10 years ago and what have you, but hang on, this is me right now. So a lot of people would immediately, and I know it was a case of probably trying to show empathy.
Yes.
But immediately we kind of went on their journey. I go, oh, right, okay. That's an interesting direction. So I think listening, but just simply, I think asking the question, really directly after you said, look, I know this is really awful. Steve, what can I do? What can I do for you right now? I think the other thing is, don't be too quick to go and knock on the door or phone people in the early stages. I think, again, a lot of great people, but suddenly my phone would go and I'd recognize it was someone's name and I go, I don't really want to talk. Send me a message that and in my own time kind of let me respond to that. But for some lovely people, they wanted to come and drop a gift. I just thought, see if you were in. I thought we wanted to bring something round, and you go, how do you say no, to a good friend because you just don't. You just know you're not going to be in that fit state to kind of deal with it. You're trying to make sense of it all. So I think drop a message, just say, look, I think, I know this is the most awful time. And even just say, look, I'm here. Even if you don't say, what can I do? Just say, look, I'm here. That is enough, I think, in the beginning. But as it progresses, maybe you can move that along to, look, what can I do? And if my response is, you can just be there if I need you, that's fine. But I know people are uncomfortable, as you say. They maybe embarrassed. Don't know what if he starts crying. I've been on interviews like this and kind of lost it. See, I shouldn't talk about that, should I? Shouldn't talk about that, but it's going to happen.
It is.
Yeah, it's going to happen. But that's fine because I'll work. Yeah. Sorry, I lost you then, Karine.
I was just saying, Steve, it's you being vulnerable, and this is what we're trying to teach society: is that it's okay to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And sitting an emotion here right now and going, "Wow, I can feel that! Like that's so powerful!" And look what he was able, to show the world, or this feeling, and just be able to sit in that feeling and being okay as a man, as a father, as a professional, just to show those emotions. And that's that's also
no, I think that's really important. And I've never been afraid to do that. I mean, if I just sat here blubbing through a podcast, that probably wouldn't be an ideal listen for people. But I've never had a real, from my perspective, I've never thought there's anything wrong with that. I just want to kind of keep it together as we go through these interviews and that I've done. But it is important because look, this is be 5 months. Next week. And it might as well be 5 minutes.
Yeah, totally.
Might as well be 5 minutes, and I suppose the question in our heads is kind of, how long does that carry on for? And that's unknown, isn't it? You've just no idea at all. Yeah. So, it's an interesting journey, that's for sure.
I'm sure it is. And in terms of Jordan's legacy, can you tell me more about that if you're okay to?
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of interesting because a good friend of mine said, look, quite often when people get in this situation, there's a need to create something. And I recognized that and thought, well, I'm no different. So we kind of spoke with the family and I said, look, I need to do something. I can't sit by and let this happen. I can't go back to my life and doing the training I was doing, and not anymore. That's, that there has to be something that I can turn this around in. So I can't bring Jordan back, but I can turn it around. So we thought around a charity or a legacy. Eventually, the term the Jordan legacy was kind of born. And initially through conversations probably with Charlotte particularly, where she was able to, from her psychology point of view, bring some perspective to it from an expert point of view. We kind of recognized that the areas we felt people needed help with in terms of probably within the community and within the workplace. So we recognized there were issues around social isolation before it became a trendy term, of course, now. There were issues around community, building communities, and not allowing people to become isolated in that way. We knew there were issues around people's self-worth. And again, when we read Jordan's journals and could see some of the things, he never felt he was good enough. And yet when you look at who he was and what he'd achieved and his friends, they go, what? I mean, just look at him. Good looking lad, first of all. House, car, good jobs. But it was never enough for Jordan. He was never good enough. So we recognized there was a need to help people look at what they achieve in their lives for who they are, not for what they have. And that was and that starts right from school age. So now we started to look and say, right, where do we start? And we recognize this probably has to go all the way, because we now have been able to rewind through Jordan's life and probably recognize key events going right back to school days. Now,
so you're saying key events that would trigger that belief?
Yeah, I think there are a number of events in Jordan's life that would have led to, and this is certainly common with a lot of people that from the research now that we've done, that will lead to them if we know now that for 50% of pre-high school children, if they suffer with any significant levels of anxiety at that age, they're 50% more likely um, to go on to have full-blown mental health problems in later life. So we know that stat exists out there. And Jordan had a number of trigger life events at a young age that would probably have built up an anxiety that ultimately led to depression. So we know we've got an issue right through from school age. And then we've got the workplace, of course, where we've got a lot of issues. So we kind of have pinpointed all those areas. So very simply, the legacy, which is essentially going to be a charitable foundation, the commercial element of that in the workplace is something I'm working on separately through my role with Champion Health. But essentially, it's going to be looking at our mission very simply is how do we reduce the frequency of suicides in those areas that we talked about and improve mental well-being and the long-term vision. And we're a long way away from that right now. We got a website up last week and kind of we're there, but now the mission starts. One of my absolute goals is how do we allow someone to find us who's struggling, when they arrive to us, recognize themselves immediately and know where to go. Because that is what's not happening at the moment out there. People are going, okay, I'm 10 years old, I'm 15 years old, I'm 25 years old, I'm 60 years old. I've got anxiety, I've got depression, but I don't, where do I go? I don't want to catch all because I don't quite fit that box or that box. So it's quite a lofty ambition, but the ultimate goal will be that you can recognize yourself when you come to the Jordan legacy and go, that's me. I need to go down that journey to get help and support. So literally the strategy's just been worked on as we speak now, but at least we have a website, at least we have some signposting and some stories starting to appear, but very, very early days for us.
Well done. Congratulations for, carrying his
Thank you.
fame and making a difference, making an impact to help our, our community, whether it be where you are or internationally. Like, I think that's exactly what we need. And as we spoke about in the very beginning, especially with the national healthcare system there, just to have that extra support and a lot, my sense is no one wants to feel like they're another number. And I'm assuming that's
exactly
the experience there. And that was something very interesting in prison with the more clinical psychologists. The prisoners didn't relate to them because they found that they felt like they were a project and not a normal human being. And with with psychology and counseling, it's so important to approach someone with no judgments, because what I sense, they feel foolish for saying, I want to end my life, or I'm having these thoughts, maybe there's something wrong with me. And so they ostracize themselves even more. So yeah, it's great that there's a place to go. So how do we find you? On the website, or where?
Yes, at the moment it's thejordanlegacy.com. So it's Jordan AN. So yeah, that's how you find us there. We're setting up a community interest company rather than a full-blown charity, but it has all the same traits as a charity. So we have a donate button. We're raising funds there so that we can reinvest that back into the work that we're going to be doing. And the next couple of weeks now is getting some real clarification around that strategy. But we're working closely with organisations like Mind here in the UK now already, and but a lot of work to do this year for sure. One of the things I think is really important, I think, for people that are contemplating suicide, is that and Jordan was the same. He left notes, one for Charlotte, one for the immediate family, his mum and dad and sister. And in that note was that he was obviously removing himself from his own pain that had become unbearable. We knew that. And he said, I know this is going to really, upset and impact you guys. And I think most people that take their lives, that have, loved ones there, understand at a level that it's going to impact badly on them. I do believe, and I kind of wrote that in the first article, not for everybody maybe, but for a lot of people, and I know this because of the response I got to that article from many people who were considering completing suicide, who said, your article has made me change my mind now, at least for that moment in time, because I've not been able to keep in touch with them all. Because I now recognize the huge devastation. I knew you'd be upset. I didn't recognize the huge devastation, how wide and the ripple effect that would have, and how long that would continue for. And I think that's a really important message to get out to anyone who's contemplating suicide. Is this the only way out? Because once you've made that decision, you will then unravel this ball of wool that will just, and this ripple in this pond that will go on for a lot longer than you probably think, and have much deeper waves in those ripples than you think as well.
That's very powerful.
Yeah, I think I've got to remember. I remembered it midway through, and I suddenly thought, this isn't important. If it just stops someone from taking that step. Yeah. Good. We got that in.
Yeah, excellent. Well, all the best, Steve, and thank you so much for joining me on Yachting International Radio and sharing your story and being vulnerable. And may we continue to fly that flame for Jordan and his legacy.
Will do, Karine. Thank you so much for inviting me on today. Really enjoyed it.
My pleasure. Thank you.